is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Harry Potter, the Rereading. The Chamber of Secrets. Chapters 1, 2, and 3. The Worst Birthday. Dobby's Warning. And the Burrow. In these chapters, I have to skip most of Dobby's chapter because that shit is anxiety-inducing. Welcome to Unspoiled.
I forgot how much I wasn't here for Dobby.
I know, I forgot until I started rereading it, and then I was like, oh yeah, she was like not real excited about this turn of events when we started off here.
And what the fuck is this little thing? Where did he come from and who sent him?
Mm-hmm. All valid questions.
Yeah, little did I know how he would make his way into my heart.
To the point that we would literally be crying about him.
My God.
I just until we did the recaps with the awesome supercuts that Austin did, I completely forgot how emotional I got during that chapter reading. It was terrible.
See, we're human. I'm not completely dead inside.
She said, hopefully. So doing the illustrated version again. Stoked about the illustrated version. Not stoked about the illustration of Dobby.
Oh, you didn't love it?
It's... Okay, for those who think that Dobby's ugly in the movies, he is so much uglier in the illustration.
It's practically grotesque.
He looks like somebody was playing with some silly putty and went a little too far. Nope. Dislike.
It's got a... I don't like his mouth.
No. He's got a wormy mouth.
He's got a weird mouth. But the rest of him, it's just...
His ears are too huge.
His ears are ridiculous and fuzzy, and his feet are gross and gnarly.
Oh, gross.
And he's got these big, bulging, watery, eyes that look like he might have some type of horrible consumption or some kind of, I don't know what kind of disease. But I love it, though.
Oh, my God. I'm just, So, did you read it? Because you had said before that what you wanted to do was go through the book with the illustrations, as we were talking about it. But
this one I read.
Okay.
Because I had I couldn't find my paper copy, like my regular.
Right.
It's somewhere.
Unless you just did it by
One of them we
ebook.
did do just by audiobook too, but I can't remember which one it was. It might have been this one.
So yeah, other than that, big fan of this so far.
Yeah.
The illustration of Hedwig at the top of The Worst Birthday is beautiful. And this one starts off with the familiar recaps that we thankfully forego in some of the later books. When Harry is at breakfast and Dudley wants Harry to pass the pan of bacon over, and he says he forgot to say the magic word, and his aunt and uncle flip the fuck out.
There are two pretty horrendous illustrations of Dudley in this
Yeah.
The one where his plate is just overflowing and Harry has got the smallest little piece of toast, maybe?
Something. God knows.
and Dudley is just this, I don't know, this gluttonous man.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, that's something that I have to say. I'm not sure if it was a conscious decision on J.K. Rowling's part, but later on, she has Dudley go from being fat to just being a big dude who's put on a bunch of muscle. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell if that was just a coincidence or if there was a part of her that started to be like, maybe just making the main character trait of the shitty person that they're fat is a little bit of a bad move on my part, and I should, open that up to being more than that. 'Cause that's something that I've grown more sensitive to, is just the depiction of fat people being shorthand for gluttonous, horrible, selfish people. Which is something that came up in the Dune recording also, because the one bad guy, like the main overarching bad dude, is a fat gay pedophile, because he can't just be gay. He has to also be like a rapist pedophile. And he's like the only person that is fat or queer in the entire book. And the fact that he is also the villain feels very like, oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
So I would be interested to talk to her about that, if that was something that she kind of like decided she was going to step away from a little bit and it was a conscious thing. But, there could also be the fact that just the book started out very Roald Dahl-esque, and she started to ground them a bit more. And describing Dudley this way just didn't really fit the world she was starting to create after that.
Right.
I don't know.
I think and when he's in these early books, Dudley, because he's much younger, I always took because it's always about him having to have more of everything, right?
Right.
It's more food, it's more presents, it's more attention, it's just more of everything. And his parents just give him everything he wants.
Right.
And so I kind of read him as basically a fat kid because his parents just never say no to him. And it's kind of lazy to just have him be fat to tell us that,
But like, I get what you mean,
that,
though.
But she tells us that in a lot of other ways, too. When he gets older, I was happy that it, like you said, goes less about him being fat and more just him about being kind of a big, hulking dude. Because that really plays into just what a bully, because he's also a bully.
Right.
Even as a little kid. But you're right. That's a really interesting point to wonder what the progression was as she was writing him. If that was, like you said, was it conscious, or did she always have a plan, or did it change, as she was getting more into the stories? Or was it a reaction to some kickback she may have gotten? I don't know.
That's the thing that I wonder, is like if somebody said something, because there was like a tweet that she said a while back where somebody, like, I can't even remember what the insult was, but you know how she'll take on random celebrities who tweet things that are just kind of insensitive. And somebody tweeted something about a person being fat, and she was like, there's a lot of worse things that you could be than fat. And a bunch of people kind of replied to her with like, yeah, there are. And yet you seem to really lean on that in your own writing. So maybe look at that. But I think that was after the series was complete. So, but anyway, so the family is planning their dinner night.
Oh yeah. With very important people coming over.
Listen,
Big deals are going to be made.
I understand that this is a thing that like happened.
Is it a thing that happens?
I didn't say happens. I said happened before the internet. Before we didn't have to invite strangers into our homes
and try to impress them with the formality of your preteen son.
How do you own dinner jackets that you wear in your own living room? Come on.
It's like an episode of the fucking Jeffersons or something. 70s sitcom, where the boss is coming home for dinner. The wife's got to make sure everything is just perfect so her husband can get that raise. Who is basing a raise on how good dinner goes?
Right.
Your employee's house. It's so ridiculous.
Like, it'd be one thing if you were taken out to like a business dinner with your superiors to talk about your progress and everything, but we all know why we're here. And yet we all have to pretend to have small talk and just be friends before we can, like, just get down to business, even though we all know this is why we're here.
He's doing this whole planning out of the evening, and he's like, at about 9:15, I'll segue the conversation ever so subtly into what the fuck the whole point is of you being in my house.
Right? Like, it's just crazy. And this was a thing. You know, having your boss over to dinner, like, what kind of power play is that? That you have the power to, like, end somebody's livelihood if you choose. And you're like, make me dinner. That's fucked up. I don't like the toilet paper that you use. I prefer the Scotch brand. I don't know what this is too fuzzy. What is this? No. Like, how many different things could go wrong?
Well, that's the fun of this whole asinine trope or thing or practice we used to have, is that a million things could go wrong, which is why it's a terrible idea to invite your boss into your home.
Yeah, the number of, like, slapstick sitcom episodes based around this whole idea it's there for a reason. Because it's stupid. It makes me think a little bit of in The Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow. He is a school teacher that does not, like, live properly in the town. He comes
and talking about the Disney version, because that's the only one I recognize.
I mean, I don't even know how to answer that. You've never read it?
Oh, I think I read it when I was a little kid.
Oh, I think it's so much fun. I did it. I read the whole thing out for an Unspooled episode like 2 years ago. So if you want to listen to me reading it for you, it's there for free for you because you're a co-host, so you're special. But it's really funny in some spots. Like, it's not really a spooky story. It's kind of hilarious. And there's at one point he's talking about how what's his name has, even though he's so thin that he just eats to the point that people who host him are kind of like dumbfounded.
That's right.
And then he says he had the dilation capacity of a young anaconda was the way he described it. And I just thought that was amazing. But yeah, he has to go and stay with different people throughout the town, like for like 2 weeks at a time. And that's how he lives, is basically by mooching off of everyone. And it's not like it's a form of payment, but it's still so weird, you know, like, and that, what's that?
I'm sorry, I got distracted because now I have to make a note to myself to find the song.
The song?
The Ichabod Crane song.
Oh, God. Okay. The one...
Have you not seen the Disney version?
I did a long time ago.
Okay. All right.
There's a song that my mom used to sing, and I haven't been able to find it. If you guys are listening, I'm going to sing one, like, little verse. And I said it to you, dear listeners, to figure out where this is from, because I have scoured the interwebs and I can't find it. But the one that my mom used to sing, we would go for a walk in the woods every October, and she would tell me the story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman, and she would sing the song. One of the songs she would sing was, "If you go out in the woods tonight, you better watch your step," which like a lot of people know that one.
Yes.
You were about to get all excited. But the one that my mom would sing was, "The headless horseman of Sleepy Hollow rides like the very wind. Riding, riding through the night, he disappears when it grows light." And I don't know, I can't find it. Because I just love that. Like, it's just the whole voice and the... I want that on a, like, Halloween mixtape, and I can't find it. Every time I search for the Headless Horseman song, I get the Disney one that's, like, not spooky. How did we get on this? What were we talking? Oh,
we might have to stop recording.
Bosses coming to dinner. That's where it was. Some crazy shit that we do. And yeah, they're planning, like you said, down to like the minute on what they're going to say when. The whole thing is so staged. And Harry's one job is to go upstairs and pretend he doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And they come back to that a few times.
Yeah.
Just to make sure he really understands.
Yes. It's like at 7:15 we'll do this, and Harry has to say, and I'll go upstairs and pretend like I don't exist.
Yep.
And then at 8:15, and everybody goes over their duties, and Harry's is still just go upstairs and pretend like I don't exist.
Oh my God, poor Harry. It's his birthday, for crying out loud.
But before the dinner happens, there's a because the Dursleys are sort of sketched out about the magic,
right?
And they're kind of like low key afraid of Harry a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So all of his stuff is locked in the cupboard, and the only fun he has at the beginning of the summer anyway is like muttering nonsense words to freak Dudley out.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time this story starts, it's like halfway through the summer now, and he's kind of bummed out because he hasn't heard from anybody.
Yeah.
And he scares Dudley, and he gets in trouble and has to help clean everything for the whole day.
Yeah, because Dudley pokes and prods him about the fact that he doesn't have any free friends, because Dudley is aware it's his birthday. Everybody else forgot or just doesn't care. And he's just like, so nobody's sent you a card or anything? They must not really care about you. And it just pushes his buttons.
Yeah, because he's feeling very insecure about that because he hasn't heard from anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gives in, and Dudley goes whining, and Harry spends the rest of the day basically slaving to get the house ready for this dinner that he has to pretend like he doesn't exist for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, poor Harry, man. He just, as it's put, he paid dearly for his moment of fun. Like, he just doesn't get to enjoy the fact that Dudley's terrified of him for a split second.
Don't we all pay dearly for our moments of fun?
True.
In some way.
And the illustration of Dudley where he's like eating and watching TV, you can see Harry in the background washing the window.
Yeah.
So then chapter 2, Dobby's warning. This, I sped through this. I sped read. I just, it bothers me, man.
With the fact that he has to be quiet, but Dobby's making all the noise.
Yes. Dobby just keeps scream crying, basically. And it just gives me agita to read about it. And Harry's trying to be nice, but also, and the fact that you find out pretty quickly that even if Harry was get in so much trouble, that's fine, because Dobby doesn't want him to be able to go back to school. So that's his goal in a way. Oh, it bothers me. I always how you read things you've read before and you're like, maybe it won't go that way this time.
And then it totally goes that way.
What if it didn't? How freaked would you be?
What if it just suddenly didn't bother you anymore?
No, if it didn't go that way.
Oh.
If all of a sudden in a book that you've read several times, it just went a different way all of a sudden. And you're like, I've read this 4 times. I know what happens. What is this? There's just a whole new subplot or a happy ending or some weird shit.
Why did you say something like that?
I'm just thinking about it. That's a very Dark Tower kind of thing to have happen, I think. Have you read those books? The Dark Tower books? Mm-mm. There's a weird subplot about a children's book that starts to change after one of the characters carries it with him in a backpack, and every now and then he opens the book and it's different than it was. And it's not like they're anticipating it. It's,
I don't care for that at all.
Yeah. And that's just I kind of love that idea.
No. No. I don't like it. I would be so upset. I would be so upset. I would feel so violated and so betrayed. You don't even know. I have such weird abandonment issues and very few things that I can count on. If I opened a favorite book and that shit decided to be different.
Yeah, that would just... I'm just like fascinated by that whole idea now. Just like, wait, but she doesn't die in the end. What? Just some really weird, unexpected shit. Like, what if Dobby accidentally like killed their guest here?
Oh God!
Surprise!
No, yeah,
oh,
no.
God.
What if Dobby was here to break Harry out and whisk him back to Hogwarts?
Right.
And and so he never goes to the Burrow. No. Well, what happens is thankfully the same thing that happened the last fucking time we read it.
Yes, exactly. Dobby is, so overly excited to meet Harry that everything Harry does that's the slightest bit, like, humane.
Oh my God.
He just is, like, endlessly grateful for, admiring of.
Cannot even get over that he has been invited to have a fucking seat.
It's just, like... that part. Sit down. Oh God. Like, dude. Oh man.
And he's gushing, and he's also at the same time all this like overly flowery. Just what an honor it is to meet the great Harry Potter and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. There's also we see for the first time this weird thing where Dobby has to like bang himself in the head for even thinking bad thoughts. Mm-hmm. And Harry's got no idea what the fuck is going on. So he's got a, Dobby is hysterical.
That's the word.
Yep. He is in full on hysterics here. And just poor Harry. He doesn't even know what Dobby is. Never mind where he came from and why he's here. And Dobby is zero help explaining any of that.
Oh my God. I feel for him. Like, I'm trying to picture if I were in Dobby's shoes and like, let's say Beyonce was in danger.
Oh my God.
And I had to go like,
Did you see her pictures?
Yes.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Did you see when they photoshopped her picture of her holding her twins into...
Yes. Yes, I did. Looked like a brand new nativity the world needed.
Oh my God. Guys, if you haven't seen it, they Photoshop her with like resplendent with her babies and her, that trailing dress and everything into the promo pics for Black Panther, surrounded by all the characters in their like, regal finery. And it is... it's so
really
good.
It really is. It looks like they all got together to take that fucking picture.
It does. The light and everything. I was just like, oh my God.
It is so perfect.
So yeah, that's awesome.
So you could be Dobby if you had to go.
Can you imagine?
Beyonce.
Like, listen, I don't even get to like try and contact her. I just somehow am able to show right up in her bedroom. Right. That's. Of course, I'm going to be a fucking wreck. And then I'm just like, okay, B, can I call you B? No? Okay. Ms. Knowles, there is somebody trying to kill you. And she's like, yeah, you fucking psycho in my room. And I'm like, no, really? And she's trying to call security. And I'm like crying because I know it's true, but she won't listen to me. Like, it would be a total nightmare.
Oh my God. I'm suddenly like much more sympathetic now.
I'm like, I just love you so much and I don't want anything to happen to you. And meanwhile, she's like pulling her skirts away from me because I'm like on my knees like begging her and she's looking at me like, what is this thing? How'd it get in here? But I just, and if I, God forbid, said something about her kids and she'd be like, you threatening my babies? And just so Dobby.
So you're running through her house.
Right? Like, and I find some like something priceless, like,
I don't-
you know, that I have to hold up and try and hold hostage and be like, I'll break it unless you listen to me. I don't want to do this, Ms. Knowles, but I have to because I love you.
Oh, God.
And then I do it, and I just fucking vanish, and she just is left there with this broken thing and some fucking creep who showed up telling her she was in danger. And it apparently is not true, because nothing happens for quite a while after this. Like, yeah. We're going to come back to that. That's going to be a recurring thing. Oh, it's like, I guess if it were, like, imagine if it were she, like, I found out she was assassinated and I found a time machine.
You were trying to go back and save her?
Yeah, you know.
It's me.
Oh. She would never listen. Why would you?
Yeah, I mean, Harry's got no reason to really trust Dobby. Even though we find out in the next chapter that when whoever, I think Ron, suggested maybe, you know, he's not being honest, Harry admits that he was kind of believing that Dobby really meant to warn him and was trying to protect him.
Right.
But there's nothing to base that on. You know, he shows up unannounced, uninvited. He's been stalking Harry.
Basically.
And stealing Harry's letters. Let us not fucking forget.
Oh, right.
You know?
Oh, yeah, B would not forgive me for that one.
Right? So Harry is being sympathetic up until the point that he realizes that Dobby is the one who has been intercepting his letters, which has caused him so much anguish over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Harry gets a little bit aggressive and tries to snatch them from him. And that's when everything really fucking hits the fan.
Yeah.
Uncle Vernon has already come up and yelled once about all the fucking racket.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dobby goes, you know, tearing out of the room. Fucking, we have the pudding fiasco.
That is a rough one.
And he's trying to get Harry to agree that he's not going to go back to Hogwarts. Which, by the by, Harry could have just said.
He should have just said. I agree.
And nipped all this frantic action right in the bud. But for whatever reason, Harry doesn't think to do that even before the letters happen.
Because Harry is a man of honor. He won't lie like you and me.
Yeah.
He's not shameless. Completely without a sense of honor or obligation.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we see how that works out for him.
That's
I mean,
pretty much
eventually it does, but, you know, a lot of those books could have just been skipped.
Oh, that's so true.
So, he won't promise. Dobby fucking, you know, hovers the pudding, lets it drop. It goes everywhere. And it's not even the worst yet.
Nope. He gets a letter.
Like 2 minutes later.
Oh, my God.
And the letter comes, I forgot the part about the owl dropping the letter, like, right in the hair of the wife of the very important businessman. Mm-hmm. And she just happens to be terrified of birds, which, in her defense, completely valid.
Yo, I think it's my co-host on Justified, Alan, who hates birds. He's, like, really scared of them. So, yeah. Apparently, that's a pretty common fear.
Yeah. They look, have you ever had a pigeon, like, dive right at your head? I have.
No, I have not.
It is unpleasant. You have to, like, run screaming from pigeons. That is not how God intended it.
That is undignified.
But I have done it.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. I want to see that.
My God. It was, story for another time. But it was a big-ass, like, flock of pigeons in the park, and me and a couple of other girls. And you think they're just going to, like, soar up and go, you know, because they can fucking fly. So they have the option to just, like, you know, go way over your head. And just they just decided not to.
Mm-hmm.
And
they want you to know who holds the power here.
Yeah. Fuck you non-wing having motherfucker. Oh, it was terrible.
That's a new t-shirt. Picture of a pigeon
No, I don't want to read
Fuck
this.
you. Non-wing having motherfuckers. Putting it in my notebook.
So,
I would love to see somebody find this notebook and try and make hide or hair of what the fucking I've written in there. So yeah.
Yeah, so the letter comes and it's a bummer.
Yeah, they're basically like, do this one more time and you're expelled. And his uncle's like, oh, awesome. Not only will you be expelled, but I'm locking you up and you're never going back anyway, which is a real confusing, like...
It is, right?
I don't really get it.
Like, if he just said, I'm locking you up for the rest of the summer, but he's like, I'm locking you up forever and you're never going back. And if you try anything, you'll get expelled. It just is weird.
Yeah.
But the big part is that the cat's out of the bag, and that they now know Harry isn't even allowed to use magic.
Yeah,
which
that's
was
some
his
shit.
one little bit of power that he had.
I feel for him. That sucks.
And they really do just lock him in his fucking bedroom and let him out twice a day to use the bathroom and slide his food through like a little cat door. Ah,
Yeah.
these people. I forgot how much I hated them guys. I really, because we don't see them towards the end of the other books. So
This
when we
is like
started,
CPS type shit. Locking a child up and feeding them through a cat door and not
It
letting them
is.
out, like,
yeah.
he would be taken into custody.
So this is just, it's just terrible, and we don't know. This is going to go on forever. It feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this point, there is no one checking in on Harry. He's not getting any letters. We don't know. We don't know when anybody's going to try to reach him again, and if they do, it won't matter because now he's all locked up.
Right.
It does not look good. It really doesn't look good.
And then Ron Weasley was outside Harry's window. Bless you. Bless you, Ron. Ronnie Cakes. Here he is.
Ronnie Keys.
Ronnie Cakes. All right, right here, we're going to take a little break, and we will be back right after these messages from our new sponsor.
So, can I tell you something?
Always.
You know how our awesome listeners send us all kinds of cool Harry Potter themed stuff? Pop dolls, books, journals, candy. I mean, they send us so much stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of still want more stuff.
You greedy bitch.
I know. Don't tell anybody.
Remember when you used to make fun of people who had Harry Potter stuff?
I know. What happened to me? You happened to me. And now every time I see Harry Potter anything, I want it. But I see a lot of the same stuff over and over again. Sometimes they'll have Ravenclaw stuff with fucking ravens on it.
Well, now that you mention it, I do know somewhere that you can get really unusual, handmade Harry Potter items shipped to you every month. And they know that Ravenclaw's animal is an eagle because they're not a bunch of goddamn posers.
Ooh, tell me.
It's our new sponsor, AkioBox. They're giving everyone who subscribes with the code UNSPOILED 10% off their first 3 boxes. And every month you get 3 to 5 specially curated items, including at least one that is specific to your house, all delivered right to your door.
This sounds amazing.
I know, right? And because AkioBox focuses on unique handcrafted items, you're also supporting a series of other small businesses. Plus, you're guaranteed to not have the same gear as some filthy casual who picked up a Raven keychain at Walmart.
Well, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not casual.
Not a casual bone in your body. That's why AkioBox is for you.
Well, shit, girl, where do I sign up? AkioBox.com.
And don't forget to look for them on Facebook and Instagram, too. Facebook.com/TheAkioBox and Instagram.com/TheAkioBox.
What's the code again?
Really?
I'm sorry, I forgot.
The code is unspoiled.
That makes total sense.
Akio Box. Magic delivered. Before we continue, I wanted to say hi to new patrons. I'm trying to do these a little bit earlier up in the episode. And say thank you to some people who donated on our GoFundMe. So, this last week we have Devin Matthews, Melisha Thompson, Tawny Kinnebrew, Lori Reader, Ryan Stafford, and Nainish Patel. Welcome to all of you people. Thank you so much for pledging. If you're interested in becoming a patron and getting access to a bunch of other shows, go to patreon.com/unspoiled. A few of you signed up at the $10 point, which means that you will be getting the upcoming postcard, which is simply a white doe with the words, "Snape was still a dick, though," above it. And that's going to be our August card. And if you sign up this month, like if you've already signed up, you're going to be getting the July card, which is the smug ass looking unicorn in a crown.
Love it.
Saying, "Don't shame people, judge them silently as God intended." And that is the July card. So I'm having a lot of fun designing these. And I'm pretty excited about, hopefully, well, I think this is actually going to be no problem. The one for September will be for Rashawn's quote that maybe you've heard by now by the time you listen to this. It was on a very recent episode that we recorded of the Dresden Files, in which she said, "That's what I do. I drink and I forget things." So that will be our card for September. So I've got my designs kind of in place coming up. And if you're a fan who has some talent in the area of design and you're interested in submitting something that you designed to be used on one of the postcards for the month and potentially put on a t-shirt, I would totally love to see it. So you can send it to unspoiledpodcast@gmail.com. And as for the fundraising, we got 3 new donations from the last time we recorded. Kathy A. donated and said, "I am on my 4th re-listen of Unspoiled HP. That is bananas. And I just have to thank you and Rashawn for all of the insight and entertainment. Have a great time at Universal." Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
4th re-listen. How are you not sick of our asses by now? We got $5 from Anonymous, who was like, they sent me a private message, and they were like, "Hey, I'm sorry I can't send more, but, and I'm like, please don't be sorry. You didn't have to send us anything, and you sent us $5. And as somebody who is often broke, I know that $5 is nothing to sneeze at. So thank you for that. Super appreciated. And then Aaron Lemmers said, "Hope y'all love the park and have the best time ever." So we are at $1,130 of our $2,000 goal.
Woohoo.
Before the 7% that they take out.
Yeah, right.
Which really hurts like more than I thought it would.
We should use sharing or were you caring or something like
right?
that. But that's still so insane to me that people are, it's just hard for me to wrap my head around how generous people are.
Yeah.
So it's been really, it's just, thank you very much, everybody who has donated or shared or whatever,
It's just incredible. And I was saying last week that Rashawn had suffered a setback that made this even more important. And I recently also found out that I had suffered a setback. So that makes it more important for me as well. So what I'm saying is
everybody.
We're both still broke. Surprise.
It's not funny, but it
not.
is. But it really is.
But I'm just like, so, because it really does look like this trip is going to happen. So, you know.
Better happen.
I'm just so excited. I'm stupid excited.
Even if, like, even if we don't eat or anything the whole time we're there.
We'll just make sure we stay drunk so that we're constantly vomiting and we never want to eat because we're sick. So yeah, if you're interested in donating and supporting the trip, go to gofundme.com/unspoiledhpworld. And anybody who donates, no matter how little or how much, we're going to do, I believe, Rashawn and I have agreed. Have we agreed? Can I say this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're going to do all 8, I guess, technically, Harry Potter movies as a giant podcast episode. And that will be available exclusively to the donors of the GoFundMe. Which I think is very relevant since everything at the park is based on the designs from the movies. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I don't know when we're going to do it. You know, the trip isn't for a few months, so I figure we'll give it a little bit while longer. Probably not until we reach our goal, or maybe a few weeks before the trip, something like that. And then we'll do it. But I'm really excited about it. I really am. The movies are so bad. Like, you're going to be so angry. They're not all, like, it's not all terrible. They're definitely fun moments, but...
I'll tell you what, though. I'm looking forward to seeing, even if it's... And I feel like they can't go too wrong. I'm looking forward to seeing the world being built. Mm-hmm. You know? There might be, like, character things that I don't love, or, you know, acting that might not be superb. But I am really looking forward to seeing what this world looks like. Mm-hmm. So, there's that.
I mean, when you say acting that might not be superb, you are not wrong.
Mm-hmm. But I've heard that it gets better obviously, as everyone gets older.
That's definitely true.
As the movies... Wait, it's not?
I said that's definitely true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For a second.
The only thing is that while the acting can get better, some of the like changes that they make to the plot stuff is worse. So it almost balances itself out.
Well, that's unfortunate.
But you know, whatever. It's still going to be really fun. And the design stuff is the best part. Like you said, the world building. And that's what the park is all about. So it's kind of great that they like decided to capitalize on the part of the movies that you really actually care about. Mm-hmm. And make it into this thing that you can actually like basically step into. Because I think you'll be pretty startled when you see the movies. And once we go to the park, it is like you walked on the set. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see it all.
So that's going to be for our donors on that. So, you know, if you can afford to throw us $5, $20, $150, $6,000, we're not going to turn any money down, no matter what denomination. Yeah, GoFundMe.com/unspoiledhpworld. All right. On with the show. Chapter 3, The Burrow. This is where we get to see this illustrator's idea of gnomes.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
They're real creepy. Ooh. There's at one point, Harry's like, you know, he's thinking about what they look like and says their heads look exactly like a potato. And apparently this illustrator was like, oh, you mean a potato when it's sprouting and there's all kinds of weird branches coming out? No, I don't think that is what she meant, Jim K. But sure, let's do that fucking nightmarish thing.
You know, we've been saying throughout the first book how much we love this artist's interpretation of things. And then it's just like, he went too far.
I'd like to think that she was like, head like a potato, and he just went into his own fridge and found some ancient potato that he forgot about in the back of his crisper drawer. He pulled it out and was like, oh, well, she said like a potato, so I guess she's kind of forced my hand here. It's freaky, guys.
It's something, guys. It's something. There's a page where I think it's just one, and it's just kind of like walking, but it looks like there's a bunch of them, which is bugging me out.
I'm looking
But
at...
one of them's carrying a carrot, so it's like a potato carrying a carrot.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's a bunch of them because some of them have facial hair and some don't.
Oh, I only wanted it to be one. I didn't want it to be more than one.
Yeah, it's their little convoy once they get kicked out.
God, it's terrible. And one of them looks like he's saying shush.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why are you telling me to shush?
I think he's saying shush because they're sneaking back in under the fence.
No.
Because at one point, that's after they, throw them all over, Harry can see them sneaking back. So I think that's what they're supposed to be. Sneaking back in.
Oh, I don't like it. But there is a pretty gorgeous illustration of them in the car, though.
That one's beautiful.
And it is stunning. Yeah. But okay, so there's a little tap at the window, and it's the twins and Ron in their dad's flying car.
And basically, Harry was concerned because none of his friends were writing to him, and maybe they don't even like me anymore. And it turns out they like him so much that when he doesn't write back, they're like, fuck this. We're going to go get him.
Yeah, something must be wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's a friend for you.
It is, right? And you know what? I know, especially doing the first read, I had my issues with Ron. Sometimes he really worked my fucking nerves.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't deny that Ron is like sort of a ride or die friend.
Yes.
From the very beginning. And here he is sneaking out, stealing his dad's car to go on a mission that he really doesn't know what it's going to look like on the other end.
That's true.
So you got to love Ron for those types of things. And I feel like the twins were just like, it's a reason to steal a car.
Oh, for sure, right? I like to think that the twins were stealing the car just for the hell of it.
Right.
And Ron was like, well, why don't we get Harry while we're out? And they were like, oh, that's a really good idea, actually.
Even better. I love it. So they break Harry out.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't go smoothly.
No.
They almost get away cleanly, and then at the last minute, I think he forgets Hedwig. That's what happens?
Oh, yeah. They almost get out, and Hedwig screeches really loud because she's basically watching Harry start to leave and is like, hey, fucker, I'm still here. And that wakes up Uncle Vernon, and Harry turns around, runs in, grabs Hedwig, turns back around, and Uncle Vernon has, by then, run up to the door and starts knocking on it because he expects it to be locked.
Yeah.
And it's not. And when he sees what's happening, he runs after Harry, which is kind of hilarious because, him and Petunia both don't want to deal with Harry.
They hate him.
Yep.
But the thought of him he says he's getting away.
Yep.
Like, why aren't you happy to see him go? But we know why, though. We know that he just doesn't want Harry to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want Harry to be out in the world being this freak. And as much as they hate having Harry in their life, they would rather keep him locked up in his room rather than him be out with these people. Mm-hmm. Possibly in the position to embarrass their name somehow.
Right. Yep.
But the part about him screaming he's getting away, it's such a weird thing to say to somebody you hate and you don't want around you.
Right?
He's getting away.
I like to think of it as he wants the last word. If he wants Harry to be locked up, he needs to be locked up. And I know it's more than that, but I think of it as, when you're getting in an argument with somebody on Facebook and then they block you. Mm-hmm. And you're like, fuck you! I was gonna block you! You don't get to block me! Just taking it out of your hands in such a way that it's really insulting because you
right.
hate them so much that they can't even let you have that, Yeah,
it's a really weird thing, like we were saying before, when Vernon is simultaneously threatening to keep Harry locked up forever, but also threatening him to get him expelled if he uses magic again. It's like they want Harry to just be miserable.
Yes. Yes.
And
it's like a family telling their gay son, like, well, you can be gay, just don't act on it.
Kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was trying to think, like, when they take him in the first book and they drop him off at the train station for the first time,
mm-hmm.
and they are so satisfied when they think that it's not really going to go anywhere.
Right.
Right? When they think it's just going to be Harry standing around looking like an idiot because there's no platform 9 3/4, then they're very much like, well, good luck. Bye now. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But if, say, they had seen the actual platform and had seen that the train was a real thing,
mm-hmm.
I think there would have been resistance again to letting him go.
Probably. You're probably right.
What
miserable
a terrible
fucks. That was a real summary of both of our personalities right there. You are so much more dignified when you call somebody out. What terrible, miserable fucks. Jesus, Natasha. All right. So the twins are asking Harry, like, well, what the hell happened as they're leaving? And he explains about the house elf. And they basically are like, I mean, that sounds like somebody's messing with you. Like, they just don't want you to go back to school. Which, although we know, because these are Harry Potter books, that the stakes are never just somebody fucking with you.
Mm-hmm.
It does sound like something that Draco would do.
It totally does.
Completely. Just be like, oh, the Voldemort's back. You shouldn't come back to school. Like, yeah. Yep. That seems accurate. And apparently house elves only, like, they come with the homes that people live in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they have to, like, whoever Dobby works for has to be an old family with money. And so he doesn't know that Dobby is one of the Malfoys, but he figures that is very possible.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes sense. And the family definitely fits the profile of someone who would have a house elf.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Dobby really didn't give Harry anything to go on. It made sense. So even though Harry felt like he might have been telling the truth or believed he was being sincere,
mm-hmm.
he doesn't really have anything to base that on. So
right.
when someone offers this alternate theory that seems, to be honest, much more reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, yeah, that does make sense. Why wouldn't Draco do something shitty like this? Just because he can.
Especially, like, when you think about somebody like Malfoy, and they were poised to, like, win the House Cup, and then this bullshit with Voldemort happens that nobody actually saw except for, like, 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sounds insane.
Yeah.
And you lose the House Cup because of it. I could totally see him just being like, oh, Voldemort's back.
Mm-hmm. And what does this cost him, sending Dobby to do this? Literally
right? Nothing.
Go do this fucking thing because I said so. Poof. There Dobby is, showing up, at Privet Drive. It takes nothing. So. Mm-hmm.
So they're driving home talking about, like, the way that things work with house elves, with how Ron was trying to contact Harry and he used 2 different owls and was thinking the deliveries just weren't, like, reaching him. And
that Percy's been acting really weird.
Yep.
That first time that little tidbit gets dropped.
Yeah. And Harry asks if their dad knows that he's got the car, that they have the car, and he says, well, no, he had to work tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to get it back in the garage without Mom noticing that we flew it. And Harry asks, because when he mentions Draco, the twins know who Lucius is.
Mm-hmm.
Because of their dad working at the ministry with him. And running into him. And they mention how he used to be with you-know-who. And afterward, he claimed that he didn't mean any of it. And they're just like, bullshit. But, you know, he's rich, so no consequences. That's familiar.
Apparently, yeah, right. Apparently that stands across all kinds of worlds.
Yep. And they talk about what their dad does at the ministry, misuse of Muggle artifacts office. And there's that great story about the teapot.
Oh, I love that so much. And Harry is rightfully like, but isn't this car a very type of thing that wouldn't be allowed?
Right? And they're like, it's weird how that is, huh? We don't really ask too many questions about that. We're just real happy this was there when we needed it. And they get to the house and they're making plans about how they're going to go up to their room and pretend to have been asleep the whole time. And not unsurprising to anybody who knows mothers, their mom is sitting up waiting for them to come home, very aware that they've been gone.
Right. The fact that that's just a teenager though.
Right.
Like, of course your mom. Of course she's up waiting for you. What did you think this was? Yeah,
they thought, like, leaving in the middle of the night that she'd just sleep through it. And they'd be able to, like, jump in bed before her. Not thinking about, you know, moms tend to, like, get up way, way earlier than you realize to, like, start a bunch of shit before you get up. And she probably, like, went to your bedrooms and saw you were missing and flipped out.
Mm-hmm.
And she just screams at them on the front lawn, just loses it. And
so that all three of Mrs. Weasley's sons were taller than she was, but they cowered as her rage broke over them.
Yep. And I love that her rage breaks over them, and then she's like, "Oh, hello, Harry, dear."
Oh, God, it's the best.
Just completely shuts off. She's just like, "Would you like some breakfast?" And they're all ready to be like, "Well, done with breakfast. Guess it's time to go to bed."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, bitch, no. You are, like, tired because you decided to get up and go out in the middle of the night. So you now get to continue on with your day, bearing the consequences of your tiredness. And Harry can go up to bed if he wants." And graciously, Harry's like, no, I'll help you guys. But I would have been like, ha, bye.
But as we stated earlier, Harry is better than us.
Harry is just better. He really is. So they have to go do the denoming. And before they get started, Molly pulls out a book by Gilderoy Lockhart on how to deal with household pests. And it's kind of like, I'm just thinking back to, like, when we first read this and how much of a throwaway moment this seemed like the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just don't know the significance of Gilderoy or how full of shit these books are.
Yeah.
But it's delightful to go back.
And his and the effect he has on his fans.
Yep.
You know, and because Molly Weasley is smitten.
Mm-hmm.
With him, you know, she's got a little bit of a crush on him. She's like her celebrity crush. So when we meet him later, and you see how all the girls are kind of like, "Oh, he's the best," you know,
right?
Yeah.
So they're about to head out and start their denoming, and Arthur gets home from work, and he says something about how you wouldn't believe the kinds of things that our lot have taken to enchanting, which is just the most perfect setup. Because then Molly goes, "Like cars, for instance?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, what?" I don't know what are you referring? What? And I think you'll find that he would be quite within the law to do that, even if he maybe would have done better to tell his wife the truth. There's a loophole in the law, you'll find, as long as he wasn't intending to fly the car. The fact that the car could fly wouldn't. Arthur Weasley, you made sure there was a loophole when you wrote that law. Oh, so great. I love it.
I love that when she tells him, because, she's doing the thing where I am sure you're going to be as outraged as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And his first response is, how did it fly?
Yeah. Did it go all right? I mean, that was very wrong, boys. The two of them are the best. I love it. I could totally see this being me and Owen if we ever had kids.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
And meanwhile, like, while they're at breakfast, and then at this point also, Ginny, like, pops out and then just, like, shrieks and runs away.
Yeah.
And,
I love that somebody notices, like, it's really weird for her to be this quiet and shy. Like, this isn't her normal behavior.
Mm-hmm. She never shuts up normally. You were so much more diplomatic about it. This isn't her normal behavior. Harry stepped into Ron's room, his head almost touching the sloping ceiling, and blinked. It was like walking into a furnace. Nearly everything in Ron's room seemed to be a violent shade of orange. The bedspread, the walls, even the ceiling. Then Harry realized that Ron had covered nearly every inch of the shabby wallpaper with posters of the same 7 witches and wizards, all wearing bright orange robes, carrying broomsticks, and waving energetically. The Chudley Cannons. Mm-hmm. And they're 9th in the league, which I'm like, that's really just... That is Ron. He would totally root for a 9th.
Well, we don't know how many teams there are in the league. It could be 9 50. That's not too bad.
There's 9 total.
There's also a little illustration of Scabbers on this page, too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Scabbers. Yeah. He's so fat. Look at him.
I'm trying to see if he's missing a finger in the illustration, but I can't really tell.
Yes, one is chopped off. It's shorter than the others.
Oh, right. Okay, there it is. I see it. Mm-hmm. Gotta love that attention to detail.
And, Ron kind of like, they get into bed and Ron's apologizing that it's a bit small, not like that room you have with the muggles. And I'm right underneath the ghoul in the attic. He's always banging on the pipes and groaning. But Harry, grinning widely, said, "This is the best house I've ever been in."
Aww.
Ron's ears went pink.
That's the best. I love that so much, that dynamic between Ron and Harry. And we see it play out like over and over, especially in the early books, where all the things that Ron is almost embarrassed about, Harry just thinks is like the best thing ever.
Yeah. And
the things that Harry can offer, he doesn't mind. Like with the money in the first book on the train, right?
Right.
Like Harry doesn't feel bad about sharing or makes Ron feel bad about needing. It's a really nice friendship to see.
Yeah, they're made for each other.
A little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. So
what if
that's
just Harry and Ron,
and no Hermione.
Hermione.
Oh, they'd all be dead.
Yeah,
instantly.
Glad there's a Hermione. I wonder if there would have been a Hermione if the series had been written by a man.
Probably, but she would have been super hot.
Right? Well, yeah, there's that. But the idea of like just two buddies on an adventure is not uncommon,
That's true.
So,
Yeah, she'd probably have been like here and there, but wouldn't have been part of like the core group. And she would have been super hot.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe she wouldn't have become part of the core group until after she was hot. Like maybe the
something
first
like
book
that.
when she wasn't, when she was just a boring know-it-all that wasn't cute, she would have been a background character. And then suddenly she would have taken her glasses off and maybe straightened her hair, and bam! Everybody saw how cute she was.
Have you seen the previews for the new Jumanji movie that's coming out?
Vaguely. I know that there's a thing, but I haven't really been paying attention to them.
It's going to be like a video game instead of a board game. and they're going to turn into like the avatars that they chose on the screen. And it just made me so crazy because the 4 students that get jumped into the game, it's a huge dude who's a football player, a skinny nerdy guy, a super hot like popular girl, and a also pretty much super hot nerdy girl.
Okay.
And they jump through, and the nerdy guy turns into the Rock. The giant football player dude turns into what's his name? Kevin Hart. And the super hot popular girl gets turned into God damn it, what's his name? Jack Black. And the nerdy girl still looks like herself, except she's dolled up and in basically like hot pants and a crop top. So we went from 2 men and 2 women to 3 men and 1 woman, but she's still super hot because we couldn't just like, have a woman. That would just be no fun for anybody. And they try and act like they're lampshading it by having her be like, why am I wearing tiny shorts and a crop top in the middle of the jungle? And I'm like, that's really a good question.
But yet here you are wearing it.
You don't just get to ask that, movie, and then like remove yourself from that choice. But, yeah, it's fine. Whatever. I'm not angry.
Like it's the same thing that happens over and over and over and over again.
Oh my God.
Right?
That was my big thing with Baby Driver. It's just there's one woman who works on all the teams. There's only the one. And she is stunning and always like half dressed. And far be it from me, because if I looked like her, I would always be less than half dressed. So more power to you. But, that's not her decision because she's an actress. That is a directorial choice. And fuck that.
Yeah.
So that's my soapbox. Thanks, everyone, for listening. You know where to find us. Facebook.com/unspoiledpod. Twitter @unspoiledshow. Where's the other one? Instagram @unspoiledpodcast. At unspoiledpodcast.com. If you are a patron, you can go there and register to get access to all of the extra bonus episodes that we did for patrons and everything. And there's so much. And coming up, guys, can I announce it?
Which thing? I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Game of Thrones.
Oh.
That's my drum roll on my desk.
You gonna do I thought you were just going to wait until we record it and then just be like, hey, guys.
Why would I do that?
I don't know.
You fucking weirdo.
I don't know how this works.
You do so, you damn liar. All right, I'm doing it then, since you didn't say no. Yeah, right. That's how that goes. It's consent, right? If you don't say no.
You beat me down.
Rashawn is going to be joining Miles and I this year for Game of Thrones because Anton had a conflict because he's doing the show with Nina for Project Fandom, for Podcast Fandom. So if you want your Anton fix, listen to Nina's show. And she, I think, also co-hosts with John, who's really funny too.
I think so too, yeah.
And if you want another Rashawn fix, become a patron. This one is not under a payment threshold. Just pay $1. You get access to Game of Thrones. And because we had been having some troubles with Game of Thrones being terrible in season 5, we changed the way we decided to cover it for season 6, which proved to not really be necessary because season 6 actually was great, except for like the very first episode. But we're still going to continue it just in case. And what we're doing is coming up with multiple choice questions, and Miles is not going to watch the show. And then we're going to ask him multiple choices on what he thinks happened, and he has to choose the answer. And I'm very excited about this because we're getting into a whole area where nobody knows what's going to happen. There's no book. There's no nothing. And Rashawn only read up until, what, book 3?
Not even that far.
She's not a book reader.
Mm-mm.
So for those who have been frustrated by our purist attitudes, not that it really matters anymore because we're, like I said, out of the book canon, but Rashawn is just an unrepentant fangirl. Right?
Oh, yeah.
She's so excited.
I am not here. Yeah. I am just here to love the show, and I don't have any bits of embarrassment about it.
No bits.
No bits.
No crumbs.
Nope. I am here to just say how fucking great the show is, because it is. And if there's some shit that's bullshit, I'll say it's bullshit. But then I will quickly go back to telling you how great the show is.
Yes. So yeah, I'm really excited because I just enjoy covering it the way that we are. It adds a little bit of interest, and I've had a little bit of a damper put on my enjoyment of the show after season 5. So I'm looking forward to this, especially since nobody knows what's going to happen. So that's coming up, and I'm still doing Twin Peaks with Maggie. So if you are $5 and up, you will get access to those episodes. I recorded a new one with her today. And I think that's about all I've got right now. So keep your eyes peeled. There's all kinds of stuff in the works. We're busy. We're busy here at Unspoiled. All right. Well, don't forget to check out AkioBox, akiobox.com, code Unspoiled for 10% off. And yeah, leave a review. We're at 281 reviews on iTunes. So I think I'd like to offer like another incentive at some point, maybe for like 400, because 400 is going to bring us up to like top of the list almost, once we get up into that threshold. So I'll keep y'all posted. And other than that, I think I'm good. You have anything you'd like to add, Mademoiselle?
Well, I guess I could say that I'm going to be on, well, no, because I don't know when it airs.
Well, you can just say to keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the Smash Fiction podcast with Miles.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording that next week, and hopefully it will go up shortly thereafter, so I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, guys, Smash Fiction's fun. They take a couple of fictional characters and pit them against each other. If you've ever played, now I forget the name of the game, but there's a card game that's like that, and they have to argue like it's kind of a formally set up back and forth debate on which character would win and why, and oftentimes a wild card is thrown out midway through the episode that kind of changes the playing field and will give either one character a distinct advantage or disadvantage, or it gives them both a terrible, terrible disadvantage, and it can be really fun. So yeah, you should check out Smash Fiction if you haven't already. Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I'm so excited. Thanks for listening. Become patrons. Come to like us on Facebook. And yeah, after every episode of Game of Thrones, I'm going to be posting a little like image on Facebook right after, and leave your comments and stuff under it, and we'll talk about it on the episode, like some of the top comments and stuff that people leave, because I'd like to hear your impressions of the episodes, and I'm going to be trying to watch live if I can on HBO Go. So yeah,
that's good, so that way you don't have to worry about too much about spoilers or stuff. You can just watch it right then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so excited about this Game of Thrones. I'm super excited. I never had a chance to talk about it before.
I know. You and I would just kind of like snipe at each other before we actually got into our recordings on other things, but we never got to talk about that properly. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you again for listening, and we will see you again next week with 3 more chapters. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
was an Unspoiled Network podcast.